So in today's video, we're gonna put together a jig. It's gonna sand the bottom epoxy off all my outdoor bench legs. I've got mitered legs and I've got straight legs. And I'd like them all to be 14 and a 16th inch, but if you can tell by that, they're all poured by hand, and I can't really regulate what I pour in there sometimes. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot. I've got 24 of these to make today, and that's what we're gonna do. So making jigs isn't a complicated process. It's a matter of thinking through. There's a lot of what's, whys, and hows. Like, why am I doing this? What tools am I gonna use? What's the purpose of the damn jig? And how many of these parts do I actually have to make? They're different parts, but they're still gonna be used on the same jig because I can modify the jig to do this leg compared to this leg using the same damn jig. And that's what we're doing today. Hey everybody, Kevin here from Humble Craftworks. Welcome back to another episode of Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. Today we carry on with our bench build. I made a decision after I did a little experiment, which kind of changed how everything was going to be built. Loser. Two things I wasn't sure about was the finish that I was putting on there. I put Waco exterior finish. I put 3 coats on there. And I thought, well, that'll work pretty good, but what about the bottom of the legs? You know, you have a little leg or whatever, and it's ingrained, it's just sitting on the damn ground, it rains, it's foggy. You know, when they're cleaning off the deck, they hose everything down, and it gets wet a lot, and it sucks up water. So on all my wisdom, I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a leg, and I put Type-On 3 on the bottom of it. Put like 2 or 3 coats in there till it wouldn't take it anymore. I sanded it a little bit, and I put Waco exterior finish on there. Built the whole thing, and here's a picture of it right here. Let it sit out there for 2.5 months. Because what I'm building now is like 40 feet of the same kind of bench, same legs. It's a Pele top, redwood bottom. All the joints look good, everything looked good, except for the feet on the bottom were wet. They weren't just a little wet, they were soaking wet. So it didn't really work. If you're gonna build furniture that's gonna go outside, whether it's a table, a chair, whatever you put touching the ground, whether it's dirt or concrete or a Trex deck like we did, make sure you epoxy that bottom. And I'm telling you right now, don't waste your time with all the other crap. It doesn't work. I did enough experiments. I've done this before and it works really good. It lasts a long time. It's durable. But I just didn't want to do that to all of these things because there's 26 of them. And I had to do it anyway. So don't be like me, just go ahead and epoxy them. And I'm gonna show you the jig that I made that works for both these legs. These all have to be a certain length because they're a bench and you don't want them all different. Sorry for the long intro, and let's get to the video. So here we go. How are we gonna make this jig work? I have a concept in my head. I'd like them to be on the edge sander, use this as a base, and I'd like to slide this in just like this into the edge sander and grind it off and have it all be square and beautiful. Now, what's the most important feature of this thing is to actually sand it square, right, and safe. So we need to have a fence in the back, we need to have a fence on the side, we have to be able to push it into the fence, hold it that way, and then pull it back. When you're using an edge sander, everything's pushing sideways, and if you push it too hard, the slide will just blow out on you. The biggest thing now is to get dados in this top, attach this where we want it on the bottom, and then how to make all this work. All right, here we go. Hot off the press. I'm gonna show you the jig first. Here it is. Okay, this is the jig. This is how it works. There's a bottom, right here's the bottom. This gets put in the miter slot right there in the old edge sander. It'll slide right in place, boom, just like that. I put dados in here and put poplar in here. I was gonna sand these and wax them up, but I didn't need to. We also have a stop that's right here. So we pull it back like this, put our leg in place, and we shove it forward and sand it until it hits that stop. Here's the sled that it fits into. It'll slide in like that all the way to the back, and we'll shove it forward until it stops. Super simple, super easy to do. Got a back to it, and it has a stop right here. So this stop runs into the other stop, and the 2 stops stop it and keeps it from going any farther. Ba-ba, right? That's what I thought up in my head when I was sitting here. It's like, I just need something to be able to slide forward and cut them all at one shot. There's a lot of people who just can't figure out how to make jigs. I think they get jig anxiety or something, whatever you want to call it. And they just can't figure it out. And then they spend weeks and weeks building shit. And I don't, I just get it done. I've done it so long, so many times, built so many weird jigs. That's what the deal is. So we slide this in here, nice and safe. We're just gonna push it forward slowly and until we start grinding it down until this whole thing stops. You'll hear it. There it is. And that's it. It'll just sand until it doesn't sand anymore. Then you back it out like this and you pull it out and you're done. And that's basically it in a nutshell. These guys right here works kind of the same way. Put this in here, pull this away so it doesn't hit anything. But here's the problem, right? And the way we cure that is we use a block like this. This isn't the actual block, but you'll get the idea. What I did was just take a block that was the same width as this block is, and I just speed taped it to here, double stick tape to the sidewall, and I did all these in one shot. Keeps that whole thing square and beautiful, and this thing just goes back and forth until it stops, and that's it. None of this is glued. There's no glue on any of it. It's just screwed together. Goes together and just slides. Boom, and that's it. It's a simple little sled jig It's a sled on a sled. It slides this way and it slides back and forth. There you go. Super simple, super easy to do. Now, if you want to see me build this whole thing and walk my way through it and see how it actually operates, stay tuned. It'll be on in 2 seconds. Thanks for watching. So we got 2 pieces made out of scrap. Cost us nothing so far. This is going to slide back and forth. We're just going to make this 16 inches long. Look at that, huh? I want this side to have a fence on it because when we're edge sanding, the sandpaper is going that way. You don't want it to go the other way. You don't put the fence on this side and then have it fly out that way.
That's stupid.
So you got to know how your tools operate. Hopefully you know, otherwise you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. I want this to stick out just a butt here.
Just a smidge.
We have this for a piece of wood. I'm just going to cut off that much. Yeah, beautiful piece of wood we have. It's going to be a jig. So basically we're building a little cradle for this thing to slide back and forth. We're going to make this 14 and a 16th. Put this line across the back here. Whoa, is that really that out of square?
Hello, boogers.
Holy crap. That scrap piece was out of square. This is how I go about building jigs. So that'll be interesting. So this is gonna feed it forward. The whole thing's gonna move like this. Where this stops on here compared to where it hits the sandpaper is the whole trick. I'm gonna put another fence in like that. We're gonna be able to load this in by pulling it back, put this in place, and shove it forward. This will slide on 2 dados that are gonna be down below with stops. Now we got the whole thing sort of halfway done. Holding it down square. Hopefully it's square because I'm gonna drill some holes in this damn thing. Put like 3 little holes. Just gonna eyeball it, doesn't have to be perfect. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing here. So we're just gonna hold these 2 together. Kind of eyeballing it, you know how it goes. I'll put 1 screw in the top, make sure it's nice and flush. Then I'll line these guys up so they're nice and smooth there. We have a little L-shaped crazy thing. We'll square that up as we go along. So now we got to dado this wherever this goes. I'm going to mark the outside. So that's the outside. And I think we're just going to run the rungs in here like this, 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and we're going to do that on the table saw. Okay, so that's 6 1/4 there. We're going to set the saw to like 1/4 inch high or whatever. And we're just gonna go from here to here, 6 1/4, and we're gonna run one side and we're gonna flip it over and we're gonna run it again. And we're gonna do that until a piece of 3/4 inch piece of this will fit right in there. And then once that's in there, we're gonna rip this down to probably like,
A few moments later.
I don't know, 1/2 inch? Conundrum. What do we wanna do? So I'm thinking about doing something really stupid.
Nice.
Which, what else is new? Dado both sides? Yeah, we're gonna try that. So I'm gonna double dado this. I'm gonna dado, instead of just having a slot, see how that square is right there? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna double dado it. I'm gonna flip you over on the table saw and I'm just gonna run this. First thing we need to do is set this to 1/4 inch. There it is. This is 1/4 inch high. This is 6 1/4 from there. We're just gonna go ahead and rip it, and then we're gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. We'll speed it up. It'll be amazing. Here we go. That's how tight that is. It's not what you want. I'm gonna barely budge that over. So it should have a little slop in there. I just barely moved it. This should slide right down in the hole. Yeah, Squeaker says to make it good and tight. She's part German, you know, even though she's made in Korea. We want it to slide back and forth. With a little bit of wax on there, it'll be perfect. Here's where the shit hits the fan, as they say. We have to get this right in there, and then we're gonna do the same exact thing, and we did this the same way as that. Now the whole thing is got to get this lined up just perfectly so. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have calipers. 1 and 11/30 seconds. 1 and 11/30 seconds. 1 and 11/30 seconds. All right, well, the first cut's the most critical. So if we screw this up, I guess we screwed up, but whatever. All right, let's just do it. All right, let's see how it works. All right, we're off a little bit, but that's okay. We're off like a smidge on both sides. That'll be fine. So we're just gonna flip this over until we get it all right. The interiors are good, the outside are just a little bit out, which is fine. So the next thing we're gonna do is gonna rip one of these just to barely whatever that is. Just a little bit less than a 1/2 inch. We're gonna go like 15, 30 seconds to have a little bit of play in there. Dude, all I need to do with these two is just put some speed tape in there. That'll be good. All right, we got our slides in there. Now, let's see if this guy fits in here or not. Squeaker says you gotta get her set up correctly, Amundo. All right, that might be too tight. Oh, yeah, it'll slide, but not what we want. We can actually wax it probably. I have my little recorder block plane that I've had since I was a kid, number 76. Flip it over and do a little bit on this side. Sometimes putting a little bevel on there helps. All right, there it is. It's still pretty stiff. With a little wax on there, you gotta wax your tools, you're gonna wax this stuff too. So we got this in and it slides, look at that. So I'm just gonna clamp this into place and screw this piece in, and then we're gonna square this one up to whatever. Nice and smooth on this side. We're gonna put one screw in here. I set my little stud in here. We're gonna set this in place. Okay, that looks pretty damn square. All right, we're getting there. So we're just gonna clamp this down, put a couple screws in it. We're gonna sand the bottom here with a 220. So we get it nice and smooth. We're also gonna put floor wax on there, Johnson's floor wax. We got a little holder, square, perfectly square. That's a good thing. We're gonna sand these rungs here, and we're gonna put some wax on them. And then we'll edge sand these all to the same size by moving this forwards and backwards. From back here to here is 14 and a 16th. We're gonna use a practice stick first, and I'm gonna set that. When it gets to 14 and a 16th and it's not cutting anymore, we're gonna lock it into place, and I'm gonna put stop in here, probably do that first, and then I'm gonna put a stop sideways here. Now we're gonna go over the edge sander. I'm gonna show you how to attach these super quick and easy. You've probably seen videos on it before if you're interested in that kind of thing. What I'm gonna show you here is just the easiest, fastest way to do it, and I'll see you in a minute. Here's how the whole thing's gonna work. We have our little miter slider thing right here. We have our pinnacle square saying that's perfectly square. And what really helps is to put like a couple of pennies in here. Probably need more than that, but I got a double stack of pennies. And it's sticking up just barely. Peel that off there. All right, there we go. We're gonna stuff it up the top here, push it all the way against it. We're gonna set this down. Now just pull it out gingerly, and it's attached. See that? All right, there you go. Scents are good for something. Not much other than that, but you know, it works. So now we gotta go back to the bench and attach this. All right, there it is, screwed in place. Now we're gonna turn this on real quick. We have to sand this because otherwise it's gonna take off on us. Now hold on to that, and here we go. Lower this down a little bit because everything is gonna be up a little high. Whenever you use your edge sander, you kind of want it on a slight angle, so you're using more of the belt so it doesn't get all locked up. So put it on a slight angle that way. That will preserve the length of time you can use this belt. Because if you're using just one spot, it burns it out. It'd be better if this was even higher, but let me put the carriage on first. So Squeaker says she knows of a way that this is gonna work even better than we had anticipated, and that is by putting a block from here to here that's 14 and a 16th already pre-cut, so we can pre-measure all this crap and we don't have to like guess at it. That way we can put our stop blocks in, which are gonna be on either side here and here, which I think is a really good idea. Simple is better than complicated. It seems like this is very complicated. It's not that bad. So that's what we're gonna do. But let's see how this works. So we're gonna pull this out. I'm gonna stuff that in there and we're gonna sand this, boop, just like that. I'm gonna barely touch this. I just wanna see how square it is, just for shits and giggles. All right, well there it is. You can see the top, sanded it pretty good. I'm gonna check that with a square. Let's see, that's perfectly square right there. That is cool, man. Outside is perfect. So that'll work out good. So I'm gonna do what Squeaker says to do. I'm gonna put a block in here from here to here, 14 to 16th. I'm gonna shove that up in there, and we're gonna put a stop in here. I'm gonna make out an MDF, and I'm gonna put another MDF stop here, set that up, and see how it works. All right, here we go. There's a little piece of redwood, 14 and a 16th inches long. I got a little block down here for a stop, and I got another block for a stop in there. Nice and square, there it is. And you don't wanna push this too hard up against your jig, because you want it just to roll nicely. I'm gonna put it like right there. Hopefully it didn't go all the way through. Let's see if we can get this to slide. Oh, it still slides good. I'm gonna take this and put it up into there. So when we slide it, boom, it should just touch. Square drive bits suck. Worst screws ever. Now, it should work just like that. Turn this thing on and see what happens. Square that way, square both ways. Okay, now we gotta measure it, make sure it didn't make it too small. 14 and just barely under a 16th. So that should work out pretty well. This space right in here, I just want to make it a little bit bigger. So we're just gonna put a piece of tape or something in there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this little piece of crap here. That's just a piece of MDF. And I'm just gonna tape it in place. But that way we can work our way into it. There it is. Let's do a leg and see what happens. Take our time. Yeah. 14 and a 16th. That's it. And all we got to do is sand this a little bit, and that'll be that. Whew, that does stink. So I'm gonna put a mask on, and away we go. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this out. We can sand it a little more. That's all that was. Just that little piece of wood. I don't think I need that in there. Let's see, run the originals through. Yeah, this is an original. I'm getting a little puddle mark, so that's not hitting all the way. So I'm just gonna reduce it a little bit. I have about 1/8 of an inch of epoxy in there before it actually hits the real wood. Light through there, see that? I don't know if it's showing that or not, but you can see the epoxy, how thick that is. So we still have a little bit we can take off. There it is. We're hitting the whole top. With that tape and MDF in there, it didn't hit at all. So now it does. Squeaker says, thanks for watching. It's time to do the straight legs. Got an 1.5 inch thick block. We're just gonna attach it there with speed tape. Sit in there like that. Let's see how square it is. There they are, square. Same height, pretty damn good. Squeaker says they're all done and we're ready to go. Now I just gotta sand around here and carve some of this crap out and we're done. Thanks for watching, everybody, I appreciate it. You have an awesome day, go outside and play, hug somebody you love, be safe out there, and I'll see you next time right here on Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. All right, well, I'll see you soon. I appreciate everybody out there. If you have any questions, let me know below or email me. My email's down there in the description somewhere. And if you feel like donating to the cause, Bitcoin is appreciated. See ya.
Subscribe now.